Another area that I touch on in the Bible can be proven is the area of Bible contradictions. Now, there's many different charges of contradictions, and they're impossible to fit in one book unless you just spend the whole book on contradictions. I've read a book that has actually 400 of them. But there are principles that you can apply that dispose of these so-called contradictions pretty easily. And I outline those in my chapter on the Bible contradictions, which I call Much Ado About Nothing, because that's really what it is. The so-called contradictions have many easy explanations. Many times it's just a contextual thing that it makes a so-called contradiction. One of the most common ones is the words of Jesus being different in one gospel than in the other. But you have to understand the culture. The problem is, for example, they're applying 20th century, 21st century standards of quotation to first century writers. First century writers were allowed to paraphrase someone when they quoted them. There was no such thing as quotation marks. So when they quoted someone, they could vary the wording as long as they kept the meaning of what was being said, as long as they didn't change the meaning. They could put less or more detail. They could make a summary statement. They could leave things out. They could say part of a thing, part of another event. And you have that just also because you have different witnesses. In a courtroom, if the witnesses agree too closely, people suspect collusion. So what do we have in the Gospels? We have superficial contradictions that if you're able to dig deeper, they can be resolved. And that's exactly what you have in the Gospels. That's the strongest kind of evidence that you'd have in a court of law to prove something to be genuine. Often a different witness will just put forth a different part of the story. And then you can put them all together. When you have 4 Gospels, you can get a fuller picture, because you can combine the accounts and see from different perspectives and different angles what was going on. So I talk about several common contradictions, but more importantly, talk about principles you can apply to dispose of any contradiction, and also refer you to some good books that deal with specific contradictions that I don't cover in my book.